everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.
And Dan is going to chat with me a little bit about Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I have already, of course, done quite a bit of stuff on this movie. Dan just finally got around to seeing it with me.
I did, yeah.
We went together here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, it was a good time.
As I'm visiting Dan for the week.
Yeah.
It was fun. Was that the first time you and I have been in a theater together? It must have been.
I think so, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. It was cool that I got to see a Spider-Man movie with you in the theater.
Yeah,
it was cool that I got to watch you watch a Spider-Man movie for the first time.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
2 months after anybody cares.
Yeah, right.
It was like 6 old people and us.
Yeah, I think there was like one young couple in there that looked like a little bit younger than us,
Yeah, it looked like the crowd for a dollar theater.
Yeah.
We had dollar theaters.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I have said my piece on this. I am going to let Dan do most of the talking.
Okay, cool.
And I will run this kind of interview style, and I will occasionally ask you questions and help maybe prompt the direction in certain, or the conversation in certain directions if you don't think to bring up certain things that people might want to know about. And if you mention anything that I hadn't thought of, I might weigh in a smidge, but for the most part, we just want your thoughts.
Okay,
so
great.
Let's do that. So just overall, walking out, sign flip, feeling, not feeling it, and best thing, worst thing.
I'm definitely feeling it. I quite enjoyed the movie. Going in, I had similar reservations that I did about the first one, and that I thought like the Avengers, MCU, Tony Stark stuff was going to kind of overshadow the story about Peter Parker, and it wasn't going to be feel enough like a Spider-Man movie. Because like I love Spider-Man existing in the Marvel Universe, but the thing I love about like the Marvel Universe is like pockets, and like Spider-Man, it operates in like the street level pocket with like Daredevil and the Punisher and all those sorts of characters. So I was worried that we were going to get too like out there with this, but I thought that they stuck with the focus on the human drama that I liked with the first one, which was really great. Best thing is definitely Mysterio, by far and away. Worst thing is probably comedy misfiring.
Yep.
A lot of the movie's comedy didn't really play for me, to be honest. Which I think speaks to the strength of the actual dramatic parts of the script. Because I liked the movie as much as I did, despite that. It would have been irritating if the rest of the movie I wasn't so into.
Yeah, and I don't remember what I said, best thing, worst thing, when I flipped my sign when we did How We Felt About, but /spoiler cast, however we did that. But at least at the moment, mine are the same as yours. We are very much in agreement on that. Let me ask you if you had the thing I did as far as comedy goes. There's a lot of it that is not laugh out loud funny, or that I don't think is really funny at all. But like, it's not like, most of it's not cringy. It's just that's not as funny as you guys think it is.
I agree. Yeah.
The one that I found really super cringy was constantly interrupting Fury when he's trying to explain the mission.
Yeah.
With people coming into the room.
Yeah.
That was obnoxious. It's not funny. Quit doing that.
So, are we just playing Nick Fury as a wink, nudge comedy character like Thor now after Captain Marvel? Is that what we're doing?
The thing is, we keep oscillating back and forth on it, right? Because he felt that way a little bit, and all the way back in Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I suppose.
But you're right. Eric and I said they do not know who Nick Fury is now.
Yeah.
And that is compounded by the fact that he's not Nick Fury in the entire film anyway.
Yeah.
It's Talos the whole time. It's
right.
not even Nick Fury.
Yeah. When I was watching it, though, I was sort of... Because I haven't seen Captain Marvel. I skipped that one just because by the time... when it came out, I was like really busy with stuff. And then by the time I had some time to go see it, it was already out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So...
I could have brought it with me. We could have watched it.
Yeah. And I'm sure we could rent it on my Xbox on Amazon if we really wanted to.
If we really wanted to make that a priority for the last 2 days I'm here.
Yeah. But I was kind of disappointed when I didn't know it was Talos that we were playing Nick Fury for comedy so much, because Nick Fury is a serious dude, or he should be anyway, based on the comic book version. But I don't know. Yeah.
Well, of course, they're drawing so much from Ultimate in the first place in. Like he's based on Sam Jackson, now he is Sam Jackson, and so they've always kind of steered into that skid a little bit, but I'm afraid we're never gonna get the Winter Soldier version ever again.
They played him for comedy in some parts, even in like the first Avengers movie where he's like, oh, and I feel like that's a stupid word decision, and it's funny because it's like a Sam Jacksonism. It's not like Sam Jackson like or Nick Fury is like a dumb character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
in this, it's like he's clueless and he.
Yeah, but I guess that makes sense because it's not really him. I guess we'll have to see when we get like the actual Nick Fury stuff.
But the thing is, he's been played that way enough that when we find out that it's Talos, like I never bought it.
Yeah.
Especially on a second or third viewing, like going back to how he's acting through that whole movie, it's like Marvel hasn't decided these days, and Captain Marvel compounds this, and you've not seen that, but Marvel so much doesn't know who that character is now that I feel like they want to think that through that movie we're supposed to think he's acting out of character, and then Talos is being, oh, that's why he's been acting so weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. I didn't think he was acting weird.
No, I didn't either.
You see what I'm saying? That's the problem with it, is it should have been weird and it's not.
Yeah. I was thinking that, like, just because I hadn't seen Captain Marvel, that this is just what Nick Fury does now, you know?
It seems to be.
Yeah.
But then also, and like, I sort of like the scroll thing, because it's fun to a degree. I mean, like, it's kind of a pointless gimmicky reveal unless we do cool things with Nick Fury in space.
Yeah.
But I do kind of like that thing Talos says at the end where he's like, this is really embarrassing for a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't smell out Mysterio, and that's really funny.
Yeah, that was funny. Did you notice, I don't want to talk about Nick Fury for the rest of this video, but did you notice that the scar is changed in Spider-Man Far From Home to be cat scratches instead of what it was before?
I know.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see that.
I can't tell you how angry I am. It's the worst. I've already talked about this, I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, so, where do you want to
go? So I guess the thing that I liked the most about this is a Spider-Man story, without the Mysterio stuff, because we'll get into that later, because I love the way Mysterio was handled in this, is that this is a story about Peter Parker, like, trying to find a way to be selfish in some ways. Like, he uses the great power that Tony bestows on him, these, like, Edith glasses, for personal gain many times, like when he tries to erase the photo off the kid's phone, and when he ultimately gives the glasses to Mysterio because he doesn't think that's a burden he wants to shoulder. He does these things in
the consequences. That's the right thing to do, which I love.
Yeah, and the consequences are felt immediately when he tries anything for any sort of like selfish purpose, you know, like he almost like kills his whole school trip after he tries to like use Edith for personal gain. Like it's the classic Spider-Man, like, with great power comes great responsibility, and also like your actions will have unintended consequences always, and you have to deal with them. That's like classic Spider-Man stuff. So I really like that aspect of it.
And also trying to balance, personal life and superhero life,
of course,
because the impossible line to walk with that is, and I've said this 1,000 times, is always, and it's really nice to see that handled in this, because I don't think it's been handled in Spider-Man movies great for the most part.
Okay.
Is that walking? Amazing did it okay, but that impossible line to walk where you could be a superhero 24/7, and that would be the most selfless thing to do. But if you don't have a personal life, you can't appreciate the people you're trying to save. And you have to keep your humanity by having a personal life. So it is actually also selfish to not have a personal life.
Right. Exactly.
By definition.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see if we do something with Spider-Man related to that in the future in the MCU. Like he tries to go like full Avenger and doesn't have a personal life, and that doesn't work out for him either.
Sure.
I'd be interested in seeing something like that too.
Yeah.
So I really liked the Spider-Man-y themes and classic stuff that we went over in this in its own way. You know, I've never seen like Tony Stark giving Peter Parker glasses in the comic books before, but they used that as a device to explore the classic things that I love and everyone loves with the character, which I thought was cool. I also really liked the human drama stuff. I thought MJ could have been fleshed out a little more in this. I wish, because like I listened to some stuff about this movie, like non-spoilery stuff, and everyone was talking about, how MJ is so fleshed out in this, and we understand where she's come from. I don't agree.
I don't either.
I mean, she has one line about how she's obsessed with telling people the truth, even if it hurts their feelings. But like, where does that come from?
So you have a singular prevailing character trait.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the background is. I don't know what gets her there.
Exactly.
And it's just 2 movies in. I kind of feel like we ought to have a little bit more. I realized that MJ was not a major supporting character in the first movie. Was kind of just introduced there.
Yes.
But getting us as far as we do with the relationship is fine. I don't mind that they're not like full-fledged, boyfriend girlfriend till the end of the movie.
Yeah,
that all rings true to me.
I agree.
That all feels very believable, realistic teenager.
Yes, I agree.
But like, why is she obsessed with death?
Yeah.
Why does she have the quirky sensibility she has? Why is she so deadpan? Where does any of that come from?
Well, and I gave the first movie a lot of credit because I thought their take on MJ in that, and it continues here, she's consistently characterized in such a way where the interesting thing about Mary Jane Watson in the comic books is she puts on this front of being like this party girl because she's compensating for the terrible home life she has, where her father is abusive and tells her that she's not good enough to fulfill her dreams.
Right.
And it's very sad, it's very tragic, and her and Peter kind of connect through the tragedy he experiences with Gwen, and of course Gwen and Mary Jane were friends, and that's how the relationship begins to blossom in the comics. In this, she puts on a front, in this MCU continuity, she puts on a front of that, like, edgy, I don't give a crap about anything attitude. But she clearly does deep down.
Yeah.
And I want to know where that comes from. Because it's a very interesting and new take on Mary Jane. She's still guarded and puts a front on, it's just the front is different. Which I think is cool.
It's weird. It weirdly feels completely different and then not too different.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd because MJ is a different character from Mary Jane,
mm-hmm.
but you're right. Like I guess at least thematically and stuff, like the crux of that character is weirdly kind of still intact.
Yeah.
But Mary Jane, like she has this weird like confidence shield up like Mary Jane usually does, but it's a really different sort of confidence.
Exactly, yes. It's just a different way of expressing that front and trying to put on a mask for the world, kind of like Peter Parker does when he becomes Spider-Man, He's a superhero and he literally puts on a mask, but Mary Jane also wears a mask around everyone that she feels like she can't be vulnerable around.
Yeah, but not just the mask, also the fact that both of those characters have like these really commanding presences, but like a really different sort of command. It's weird.
Well, yeah, like Spider-Man is obviously like a very confident character when he's in the costume.
But I mean MJ and Mary Jane. I mean that like Mary Jane in the comics always puts on this air of confidence and self-assuredness.
Yes.
And MJ in her way also does that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And the interesting thing about her and Spider-Man being in a relationship is, that Peter Parker does the same thing when he's Spider-Man. He puts on this confident face, when he's a superhero, and Mary Jane does the same thing when she's around other people.
One of the big complaints I've been hearing a lot bannered around about this movie is that this Spider-Man does not do that.
That he's not quippy?
A, that he's not quippy, that is one of the big things, but B, that the mask doesn't seem to instill a confidence in him. He's like exactly the same in costume as he is out of costume.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that he's not as quippy as he was in the first movie. I think that may be a valid complaint. I have to watch it again.
But not just the quippy thing. That
Yeah.
he still seems like a high school kid when he's in the costume.
Yeah.
And like an unsure of himself. I think it's weird for people that like he puts the mask on, he gets up into a microphone and he doesn't know what to say.
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
And also everyone knows he's like 14 or 15 because he doesn't put on any kind of a voice or anything.
Yeah, true. That didn't really bother me when I was
don't know if
watching
that's
the
a
movie,
problem,
but I can see maybe where people were coming from. I'd have to watch it again to see if I have the same thing.
It's really interesting, you being as big of a Spider-Man fan as you are, immediately going to here are the ways in which it is, albeit unconventionally, but still like very true to the spirit of what Spider-Man is in the comics.
Yeah.
I'm getting so many messages from people saying, it's okay, I don't mind it, but it's not Spider-Man. Like
really?
At all. Like it's not Spider-Man.
Oh, well,
I keep hearing people say that.
Well, I guess I just fundamentally disagree with that.
So do I.
Yeah. I think the director...
I was a little worried that you would come out of the theater saying that.
No, I was worried that we were going to turn him into kind of like Iron Boy in this, but he has a nice conversation with Happy, Jon Favreau's character in the movie, and he basically tells him, like, you're never going to be Iron Man.
That scene kind of makes the movie for me.
Yeah.
It's really important. I was thinking about that this morning.
Yeah.
Because not only is it the movie coming right out and saying, look, he's not the next Iron Man. Obviously, shoes have to be filled. because that heroic void is gone.
Yeah.
But you're going to have different people trying to fill that void, and they're going to be doing it in different ways.
Yes.
But also, it's the scene that is most necessary for saying, let's not pretend like Tony was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really important. When he says like he was all over the place, and then I really like the parallels between where Peter is in that moment and where Tony was in Spider-Man 3. Eric and I talked about that when
Tony
we
was in Spider-Man
reviewed
3?
it. No, I'm sorry, Iron Man 3.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Sorry, in Iron Man 3,
Yeah.
where in this Favreau's got that line in the plane in that same scene.
Oh, okay.
where he says. Where he says you've lost your tech, you're all by yourself. What are you gonna do? I mean, he's like in an oddly similar situation to where Tony was in Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
and I think that's think that's done intentionally to say there's a different character in a somewhat different situation. What does he do?
Yeah, exactly. So I really appreciated that scene. I also getting back to the human drama stuff. I did think that Ned and Betty's relationship moved a little fast at the beginning and the end, but I thought they were kind of cute together. Like, I wish they had stayed together by the end of the movie.
That whole thing, it's funny, it's believable, but it's just played for comedy.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah. Which I didn't think they were particularly, like, laugh out loud hilarious, but I thought their relationship dynamic was pretty well executed. I thought they had good chemistry together.
I liked giving her more to do.
Yeah, me too. It's interesting as well that because people that have read the comic books know this. Like, Ned Leeds and Betty Brant get into a relationship when they're both working at the Daily Bugle, and Ned Leeds Betty ending that relationship makes him like very bitter and angry, and eventually like plays into the Hobgoblin stuff they do. Ned Leeds doesn't end up being the Hobgoblin ultimately after the like fake out reveal they do.
Right.
But he's still like an angry, bitter character because of that relationship. And here, I wonder if they will in the future, like how they introduced that guy that aged up 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll be like someone that goes out with Betty in the next movie, and Ned gets really jealous or something.
I guess that could happen.
Yeah.
But in my mind, that is never going to be Ned Leeds unless they just suddenly like do a light switch and now he's Ned Leeds. Like, he's Gank. He's not Ned Leeds.
Yeah.
And it was a sitcom plot. I mean, like it just felt like a real throwaway.
Yeah.
We did the summer fling thing, and it was kind of fun. It gave Gank / Ned something to do in the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm not expecting us to ever do anything really with that character.
I don't know. I expect him because he's like the one. Him and MJ are like the two supporting characters that have gotten the most focus. So I expect him to do something with him eventually.
But there's not any forward momentum already, and we're 2 movies in. So like he's just exactly the same character as he was in the first movie, and we didn't really do anything with him in this as far as the Spider-Man stuff goes.
Yeah,
that was one of Eric's big complaints.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them giving him a character arc in the third movie potentially. I mean, I don't know. Like,
I could too. I just think that it's going to be difficult. Well, they ought to do that. I still say they probably won't. I still say after seeing this, he's probably just going to keep being like the person there for Peter Parker to talk to.
Well, he has MJ now too.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But and technically after this movie, like, everyone knows. So maybe he'll get to talk to everyone. One of the things you mentioned about the summer fling thing made me think about how Aunt May is kind of a non-entity in these movies, and I don't really like that very much. And especially in the scene that she has with Favreau towards the end, where Peter has a conversation with him, and she's talking about like summer flings and stuff. I'm like, that makes her seem really immature.
It does, and it's watching too much like an episode of a TV show at that point.
Yeah.
I really feel that way about it. I mean, I said sitcom earlier. It really feels like we just have to keep sort of kind of resetting things back to a status quo. And I realized then we out Spider-Man, and so now the status quo is shifted.
Yeah.
But I also could see them coming back and just like with Aunt May finding out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man at the end of the last movie, and then just not doing anything with it, and she already knows it. Is he coming into the next movie and there's just a status quo? Everybody knows he's Spider-Man, and
I think there was some kind of ambiguity in that scene. Like, Favreau clearly wanted to be in a relationship with her, and then they kind of. Peter had to leave at sort of an awkward time, and it seemed like that conversation was going to continue between the two of them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were in a relationship at the beginning.
I'm hoping they are.
Yeah, because I like.
But I don't like being teased like that. It would be nice in a 2-hour movie to have some kind of, finality on that.
Okay.
Of just like, here's where we are now. Because I don't trust them after the stuff they didn't pay off in the last movie.
Sure.
That's all.
Sure.
That's what, and like it's just compounded subplots.
Yeah.
Just with that and with the Ned Betty thing, where like that was fun to watch, but then just nothing really comes of it.
It was so strange too that like Aunt May, throughout the entire time that they're on this field trip where all these like crazy things are happening, she doesn't try to contact Peter.
Yeah.
That she's not worried about him.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like Aunt. I mean, I realize this is a very different version of Aunt May, but like. I mean, like, I would like her to still be a good parent, you know? Even if she's a different character, like, I think we should keep consistent that she's a good parent.
Sure, but they're not focused on that part of it, and they see her as obligatory. And, like, she is what I consider an obligatory character.
Yeah.
Like, she existed in the comics, and Peter needs a parent at home, and she functions like Power Rangers parents if we ever get them, which is just, kids have parents. And that's about it. Like,
yeah. I mean, Happy's more of a father figure to Peter than Aunt May in these movies.
Yeah.
As far as we know, anyway. Like, because we don't... Peter wouldn't be the man he was, obviously, without May and if Ben exists in this universe raising him. You know what I mean? But as far as, like, the things we've seen, Happy is more of a father figure to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're treating it like Tony is essentially the Uncle Ben, and that Happy is kind of maybe taking that place now, and I'm fine with that if they actually put him and Aunt May together.
Yeah.
And he becomes like the stepfather, and Aunt May gets to do more, and they're like the mentor characters together. That's great. I'm fine with that.
That would be great.
But they need to do that. It would be really cool if the next movie opened with a wedding, or like first at plot point,
that would be great.
I'd be really fine with that.
Me too.
Especially because I don't think we've ever done a wedding in MCU.
Did they show the Tony and Pepper one?
Huh.
Because I remember him proposing to her.
Yeah, but we don't have a ceremony.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever done a wedding ceremony in like 24 movies, so it would be cool to see that.
Yeah. Interesting.
We have funerals. It's weird not to have weddings when you have funerals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then we never saw like when Captain America went back in time getting married to Peggy either, I suppose, right? Yeah. Interesting. So as far as the human drama stuff goes, I thought all of it worked. I would have liked a little bit more focus on May. I would have liked to have fleshed out MJ more, but the stuff we got. The relationships between all of the characters that kind of blossom in this movie, I think work really well, and I was into them. I thought they did a really good job with that stuff. And that's one of the things that I always want a Spider-Man movie to get right. The human drama stuff, that's what matters to a Spider-Man thing. So that was cool.
Did you call at any point where we were going with Mysterio? Before we got there? At any point were you like, okay, I'm pretty sure at this point the interdimensional stuff is BS?
I didn't know that the interdimensional stuff was BS. I knew he was obviously lying about something.
Right.
Because, like, the classic first appearance issue of Mysterio, he pretends to be a superhero to get attention from the Daily Bugle. Jonah Jameson really likes him and says that he's the better alternative to Spider-Man, and they kind of do that. I mean, Jameson's not nearly as involved in the plot of this. I mean, he's not involved in it really at all until the end credit sequence. But I knew he was lying about at least something, so I didn't call necessarily that the interdimensional stuff was BS, but
I think it's a mystery that plays really well.
Yeah.
Like, that reveal is wonderfully satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
I love how big they dupe you into thinking it is, and then it's as small or smaller a story as Homecoming.
Yeah, I like that too. There was some...
Especially right after Endgame.
Yeah.
You just, like if we actually had done that Elementals plot, I would have cried foul really hard. Like, I'm really glad we didn't actually do that.
Oh, okay. There were some issues I had with some of the scenes with Mysterio, but they weren't necessarily with Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Peter Parker, as far as, like, keeping his secret identity in this movie is just really dumb.
Yeah.
Like, Spider-Man in the comics and in many of the movies just walks around with a suit under his clothes because that's makes the most sense.
And he just doesn't do
that. And
this
Peter doesn't do that, and he like runs around with a very like he runs around with like a Venetian mask on when they're in Venice, and you can clearly tell that it's him. He's wearing the same clothes still. And he's just like swinging around like they play it like this big thing, like MJ's so smart for figuring out his secret identity. It's like if she didn't figure it out, she's an idiot, you know. And then at one point,
but then nobody else does.
Yeah.
And the easy excuse is, well, nobody else pays attention to you, which I don't like.
Yeah. And then at the scene with Mysterio in the bar, Peter Parker's sitting in his Spider-Man suit with his mask off in a public place.
I know.
It makes no sense.
I know.
He's an idiot.
And even worse than that, we're on par with that, because that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Is right at the end, after the big fight with Mysterio and everything is like crashed and burned, he takes the mask off and is standing in front of all those cars with MJ.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, really? You don't think anybody's going to walk up?
First responders should have been on their way.
You're just out in the middle of nowhere. Like, I get that there's no one there, but it's dumb that there's no one there, and it's dumb that you would assume no one's going to come out right in the open with all these burning cars.
Yeah, exactly. And then furthermore, you know, he does that date thing with MJ at the end, and they're swinging around and stuff. Like I get that, like from far away, no one will be able to tell, but he just drops her off in the middle of a crowded street.
That's a great point. You know how you get at least pretty close to figuring out his identity at that point? You just take pictures of the girl that he's swinging around with, and you figure out what school she goes to, and then you've now narrowed it down to at least all the kids that go to that school.
Yeah, so he makes just a lot of like dumb decisions with the secret identity stuff. And then we do the thing at the very end where like it looks like the whole world's going to figure out what his identity is, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Me neither.
Because one of the great things about Spider-Man is the dual double life thing that we talked about before, and I like that sort of character drama of him trying to conceal his identity from people. That's why he wears the full face mask, all that. And when they did it in the comics after or during Civil War, they had to like do some hackneyed retcon to get rid of him because it was such a bad idea there. So I don't know how I feel about that. It depends on how they handle it.
And the retcon itself is the thing that a lot of people argue ruined Spider-Man for a decade or more.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of the world turning against Spider-Man.
And yeah, that's the thing I like about it, is that we haven't had that yet, and I feel like this Peter Parker has gotten off too easy so far.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's had to deal with enough heartache that he inadvertently causes.
Yeah.
We finally have that.
Yeah, which is nice.
And
I like that
it is a consequence of the way he handled Mysterio. Not that at the end he does anything wrong or anything, but I like that it immediately that it at least comes out of stuff he says there is reworded to make you think that he's the one that did all of that.
Exactly.
And that's really nice, but he's the only MCU character that has a secret identity.
Yeah.
And that's just because it's inherent in Spider-Man. It watches like, and I don't know that this is true, but it watches like they felt like they had to hurry up and rush it to get him to be like everybody else in the MCU.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I do, at the very least, like if that's what we have to do. It's not like a double beat of the Iron Man thing where he comes out and like tells the world that he's Spider-Man like he does in Civil War. I like that it's like revealed inadvertently because of like mistakes he makes and because of Mysterio, and it's going to cause a lot of anguish for him. It wasn't his choice, you know. I do like that about it at the very least. Well, if we had to go there, I think they did it in the best way possible.
I do too, with the exception, and you know what I'm going to say, of just placement. It needed to be in the film proper.
Sure.
You needed to not wait through 5 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
And I don't mind having a scene even that is important to the movie after like a minute or two of credits, just giving you the cast, and then because it still feels movie proper. Most people will stay for that, but it was just a little bit too long to then have the most important scene of the movie.
Yeah.
And the other reason I wish it had been in the movie proper and had like, you know, oh my god, cut to black and then credits, is because one of the things I do kind of like about that, just in looking at MCU at large, and I've said this before, is that's the place where I think it most cleverly is paralleling the first Iron Man movie, where at the end of Iron Man he comes out and says, "I'm Iron Man," and in this he's outed as Spider-Man in the movie right after Tony Stark dies.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. But if you're gonna do it, that's the other thing that makes it kind of if you have to do it, that's the coolest way to do it.
Yeah.
But make it the end of the movie. Don't do it in the middle of the credits, because then it kind of ruins it as a cool parallel.
Okay, sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you mean. That didn't bother me personally as much, but I get where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah, but it didn't bother me as much until I started watching people walk out.
Mm.
I mean, that drove me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, people just getting up and leaving. And you're like, okay, well, you paid $10 to go see a movie and you missed the most important scene of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as, I think we covered pretty thoroughly, like, the Spider-Man and, like, supporting cast stuff. We haven't really talked about Mysterio yet, which is my favorite thing in the movie.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Gyllenhaal tears it up in this movie. I mean, I expected he would, because Jake Gyllenhaal is a A-class talented actor. And it's cool that they got him to be in this, because he almost replaced Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3, because he had like a back injury because of Seabiscuit.
And that's why it's cool that they went with the pretending to be a hero plot, because he gets to fake be the next Spider-Man, or the next Iron Man, or whatever.
Yeah,
and
which
then,
is super cool.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So I really that was just such a cool casting choice, like for like meta outside of the movie reasons. But Jake Gyllenhaal also is perfect for this character. The way he plays a like very friendly superhero mentor figure very well. Like, and some of the things, knowing that he's because I knew he was going to be revealed to be the bad guy the whole time. Like, maybe it wasn't people that were watching the movie not knowing that didn't notice as much. But like some of the small touches, like him grabbing his wedding ring when he's talking about his family.
Yep, it's great.
He plays such a convincing, nice person that when he like outs himself, when he goes, "Well, that wasn't so hard," and he starts hamming it up, I was like, "Yes!"
And these layers where he's a totally different person.
Yeah,
that's an act he's playing.
Yeah,
and I like that he's the actor Mysterio.
Yes.
Like it's not like he was like a stage actor or something, but like he likes theater, he likes drama.
Yeah,
he's great at that.
Because Mysterio is such a theatrical character.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man makes fun of him for that all the time in the comics.
So sorry, I have said this in a video before, but after you said that, I have to say this to you, because I can't believe I haven't said it yet.
Yeah.
You know what my biggest issue with the whole movie is?
What is it?
The thing that ticks me off the most?
Yeah.
At no point, and this goes to the he's not quippy enough thing.
Mm-hmm.
At no point does Spider-Man call Mysterio Fishbowl Head. That's not okay.
Yeah.
He has to say Fishbowl Head at least one time. He never said it. It's not okay.
Yeah, he should have.
Not okay.
Yeah. That would have been awesome.
Will always make me cry every time I see this movie. It's not okay.
Yeah. So Jake Gyllenhaal plays like the act very well, and then once he is revealed to be like the bad guy, he hams it up so well. It's like it rides a line between being completely over the top and serious, and he rides that line very well. Like he chews up the scenery in the bar, especially when he's talking to like his whole special effects team and stuff. But he also plays it with a certain amount of like anger and gravitas too, once he's trying to like take out Spider-Man.
Where he threatens Box of Scraps guy.
Yeah.
He's also hamming it up there. And
yeah, he is. It's great stuff. And
there's like a little bit of humanity there, because you can tell that he hates having to kill Peter Parker. He doesn't care about anybody else that he's going to kill, but he spent enough time with Peter that he's like, oh, this is a good kid. This kind of sucks that I have to do this.
Yeah. I do wish that his motivation...
We did that with the Vulture also, but it's different enough for me.
Yeah, I wish that his motivation was fleshed out a little bit more, in that I get why he doesn't like Tony Stark, but I don't really understand why he thinks that the void that Tony Stark left needs to be filled by him.
You mean Mysterio?
Yeah.
Well, he's just exploiting that.
But he says people need something to believe in.
Well, yeah, but like... I think the idea is supposed to be like, because people need something to believe in, I'm gonna be that thing, and then I'm gonna exploit it, and then I'm gonna get personal gain out of it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
I wish it was a little bit more explicit, I guess.
Oh, really? I thought that was pretty clear.
Oh, interesting.
Personally.
I didn't really get that from him.
Yeah.
As much. Like, I get why he disliked Tony Stark and all that. He just kept saying like people need something to believe in, and I don't get why he cares about that. Like,
it's because he wants to be in the limelight. It's because he was ignored being a brilliant inventor.
Yeah.
And he made a brilliant invention, but Tony Stark just wasted it, and nobody's ever paid attention to him. And so he goes, okay, well, if it takes a costume, then I'll put on a costume like Tony Stark did. And now is the perfect time to do it. What I loved about it was there's no why now question. This is the perfect time for him to be doing this plan.
Yeah. So for me personally, I wish we explored that aspect of his character a little bit more. But I love almost everything about Mysterio in the movie. I love the way the costume looked. The action scenes with Mysterio were inspired.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool seeing like the Mysterio like illusion dreamscape stuff, because I didn't know that we were gonna get it to that degree. Like, it was so cool.
And it's as good as it's ever looked in anything.
I mean,
I'm
like,
saying that. Like,
yeah, I mean, like in the comics, like there's a lot of like cool stuff that's exactly like that.
We could do more of it, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's insanely accurate.
It is, yeah, which is super cool. I also really loved the new costume that Peter makes in this, because it has the black parts, kind of like the way the costume looked on the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
It's so cool. I love that we have the web wings still, all of that. I did like in this movie, too, that Spider-Man finally ran out of webbing.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't done that yet in a Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Like, I was like, oh, like...
Yeah, because we were always complaining about that with the Amazing movies.
Yeah, because...
You and I have just never stopped talking about that. It's irritating.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, finally we get inorganic web shooters. I mean, we get, like regular web shooters.
And he never runs out.
Yeah, there's no reason to, like... It doesn't matter what kind of webbing it is if it's unlimited.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I kind of wish that he ran out of the webbing in a less safe situation, because he's, like, on the ground and stuff. Like, and he's still in the fight with Mysterio, but
yeah.
It would have been nice, like, if he was, like, swinging or something and ran out and, like, you know, screwed up or something like that. But I did at least appreciate that we're finally, like, doing that with him.
Now that you mentioned... Because I hadn't even thought about the whole Amazing Fantasy 15 thing until you said that yesterday.
Yeah.
But I like that he's able to... Like, black and red just look really good on Spider-Man. I like that he's able to put on a black suit, and it isn't because, like, he's darker now or something. Like, and that's a great score, but it's also really silly.
Yeah,
but like he has a black suit, and I guess I'm praising it for not being thematic about that, which is weird. But I guess what I'm saying is it's amazing that works fine, and I'm not reading into it at all. It's just a good looking suit.
And I'm very glad that we're not running with the Iron Spider suit permanently, because that suit is just, I hate it.
I didn't think we would.
Yeah. In this movie, he looked chubby with it on.
He did.
Get that?
No, I agree with you.
Weird.
I think it looked a lot better in Infinity War. But yeah.
I've just always like really disliked the design of that suit.
So I gotta go on record real quick and say, because I've always been in the minority on this, and I liked that suit before he put it on. When we get at the end of Homecoming, I was like, that's awesome, and everybody was like, that suit's so bad, and I was like, what are you talking about? It's great, and then he put it on.
Yeah.
All right, I don't really care for it that much either, I guess.
I hope that we... I one of the things that I was hoping, I guess, at the very end of the movie, I do like that we got Jameson finally, and the fact they got J.K. Simmons to come back is super cool. And he's so clearly an Alex Jones parallel. He has the same background, a similar logo. He has a similar set and microphone set up to Alex Jones. That's clearly what they're trying to do with it. I hope that he becomes more integral to the plot in the next movie. I hope we do some Jameson stuff.
I don't see that. But
yeah.
It would be cool if we did that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get my hopes up, man.
No,
that
I'm
felt
not
like
going to get
such a cameo. I don't even know if you'll ever see him again. I mean, I would be really surprised.
Yeah, I mean, like, I tend to agree with you. I'd be surprised, but I still, like, would really like to see that.
No, I get that, yeah. I'm just saying, don't hold your breath, buddy.
No,
I don't know if that'll happen.
No, I'm not going to. I'm just, it's so cool that they got him to come back.
Because I'm hearing a lot of people really running with that, and I'm like, guys, don't get too excited.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
And obviously, like, because he's a conspiracy theorist website, there's no way Peter Parker's going to work there.
Well, of course, yeah.
So
I wasn't sure how you'd feel about using the same casting choice.
Oh yeah, I don't care. J.K. Simmons is perfect.
Yeah,
Use him as much as you can.
Yeah.
I did wish that we had set up. So like the thing I liked about the post-credit sequence of Homecoming was we were setting up more Spider-Man-y villain stuff. This post-credit sequence sets up more personal consequences for Spider-Man, which is nice, but I wish that we didn't use the second post-credit sequence to set up like more Marvel Universe stuff, and we had like maybe further developed like the villains teaming up, like we hinted at the end of the Homecoming with Michael Keaton in jail and Scorpion and stuff. Because I was like, really excited because I was like, maybe they're going to do Sinister Six in the future, and it's not bad that you didn't do exactly what I would have wanted, of course. But I was hoping that we get a hint, Otto Octavius is doing something, or Norman Osborn's doing something. Like that would have really excited me because the last credit sequence didn't really do anything for me. Maybe because I haven't seen Captain Marvel, but I was like, is a Spider-Man movie the proper place to be advancing the Skrull plot at the very end? You know?
Yeah.
I wish that we had done a little bit more with Spider-Man-y villain stuff, but it is what it is.
I mean, I knew they weren't going to do that already, so I was just already planning for, we're not doing any more with that yet. Maybe sometime down the road, but pretty early on, the producers of that movie had already said you're not going to get Keaton back and stuff like that. So I was pretty sure they weren't setting up anything.
I didn't necessarily need Keaton back. I just would have appreciated the setup for the next villain, maybe. That would have been cool. But yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say about Mysterio as far as the villain stuff goes. Oh, I am not sure if he's actually dead either.
Yeah, I'm not either.
One, because it looks to me, we talked about this when we got out of the movie, Mysterio, the illusion pretends to be shot, and then Peter Parker with his spider sense senses that Quentin Beck's about to shoot him, and then he grabs the gun, we cut to a close-up of Peter, and we cut away and Mysterio's just dying. I don't...
No, you see him drop.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. He just starts dying without any sort of prompt or anything. You were saying maybe he got hit with one of the bullets from the drones or something?
Well, yeah, because that's what he pretended the hologram did.
Yeah, but just because he's pretending the hologram did that doesn't mean that actually happened to him,
No, but it would be the explanation for why he's dying.
Yeah, but my point is we didn't see that happen to the actual Mysterio, so I'm not sure about it, And he had the glasses on before Peter, so he could have potentially programmed something into them to make it say oh yeah, he's actually dead. I don't necessarily trust Edith in that situation either.
I just don't know why, if he's fine, he wouldn't keep fighting. That's my issue with that.
Maybe one of his contingencies. He said he had plans and stuff, and maybe he knew that he lost, and he's cutting his losses, and he'll live to fight another day and not go to jail. That sort of thing.
I guess
that's how he escapes.
Yeah, and pinning everything on Spider-Man, but I would think that, I don't know, I would think that if he was fine, he would just, because he hasn't been found out yet, so why wouldn't he just keep going with the plot that he had and keep trying to kill those kids?
Well, he knew that he kind of lost at that point by the time Spider-Man gets there, and is the illusion tech broken? What's stopping him from just creating more illusions and then trying to get away that way? Well, Spider-Man sort of had him where he wanted him when he pretended to die, right? Spider-Man had gotten he was about to get the Edith glasses back.
Yeah, that's true.
All that. So
yeah,
I'm not convinced that Mysterio is dead. I'm not. I think we might see him again in the future in some capacity.
I'm at an 80-20 right now.
Yeah.
Where I think it is possible they will do that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot more likely that he's actually dead.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just not convinced at this point just because of the way the scene played, But I guess we'll see. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say about Mysterio. Is there anything else we should cover, you think?
How do you feel about the way Spider-Sense is being handled? Because I didn't talk about this in the previous videos. The more I'm seeing that movie, the more it irritates me.
Oh, really? What irritates you about it?
I think it's really weird to have 2 Spider-Man movies and 5 total Marvel movies with Spider-Man in them.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man hasn't on his own come up with Spider-Sense.
Yeah.
Origins for things like that irk me sometimes.
Oh, okay.
And we're taking our time. So the whole Peter Tingle thing is not funny. It irritates me.
I didn't think it was funny.
I don't like that. It's just weird that he can't just be I have this thing. It's Spider-Sense. Move on. I don't get it. I think that's annoying. The other thing is, but the bigger issue with it is we kind of played it losing your powers because of personal insecurity, like in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
And I buy that more with just the Spider-Sense, but I'm still not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Where, that one power doesn't work unless he's totally focused. I wanted to ask you how you felt about that.
I think, the Spider-Sense Spider-Man focusing on it and like it becoming like stronger when he like focuses and stuff is not a new thing, so it didn't really bother me all that much. The Peter Tingle thing, I'm with you, wasn't funny, but other than that, I was just happy that we were actually using the spider sense more, because like in the first movie, we don't really do much with it at all, and then in Infinity War, we use it to like have him notice the thing in the sky, because like the hair just stands up on his arm and he looks out the bus window. So we're actually using it like in the plot now, which I really like. So that like it didn't really bother me that much, to be honest.
It just it did have, it's not as bad as Spider-Man 2, but it's contrivingly not working in certain scenes.
Yeah.
And I just don't love that.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't even think about it on first viewing, but like the more I'm watching it, I'm like, I don't know if I love that we're tying that to self-esteem and stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'd agree with you if I watched it a second time, because like you said, like I've only seen it once, so maybe if I see it again on a repeat viewing,
I didn't even think about it the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I've seen it 3 times, and it bothered me more this time than it did even the second time. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And that's not a thing I'm even hearing a lot of people talking about.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I've tried to avoid what I can of conversations about this movie, but it was very hard seeing it this late.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
I quite enjoyed it.
And a lot more than I thought you would. But
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to have to learn to trust John Watts if they bring him back for the third one. Because...
or hope that we can, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where like everything looks so like MCU integrated, and you're like, this movie might not be for me, and then he blends that okay.
He does it. I think he does it really well, as best as you can. You know, if we have to have that stuff.
I do too. I just keep assuming that you'll go that you'll go to that movie and you'll be like, no, what are you talking about? That's terrible.
Yeah. No. I mean, there's enough of what I love about Spider-Man in this version of the character that like. All of the MCU-y stuff didn't bother me as much as I expected it would. Because remember, I had the same reservations about the first movie.
Right.
And I think this is just kind of like how Sony may be advertising them so people go to see it, you know?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So they're like, oh, like our Spider-Man movie's connected to the MCU, you must go see it, you know? That's that sort of thing. So maybe that's what their marketing strategy is, I don't know. But, yeah. I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't have complaints about it.
Like you are in a larger universe and you've had major developments lately, so to not deal at all with that stuff would drive me crazy. Like, if the very next movie after Endgame, no matter what it is, doesn't deal at all with the fact that all these people just came back from being gone for 5 years, like, you have to do that. Like, you have to talk about that.
So, did you... I don't know if you talked about this with Eric. I didn't really care about this because I didn't really like Endgame.
No, I know.
But... how do you feel about them playing that stuff for comedy? Like the fact that people disappeared for 5 years and everyone thought they were dead and not coming back.
Some of it's really funny. I just wish we were doing both. I wish we would also play some of that for drama also.
Yeah, it's very lighthearted for such a serious subject. You know what I mean?
And for being the movie that came out immediately after Endgame, like a month later.
Yeah, exactly.
We're laughing about it now. Yeah. I just think it's too fast.
Okay, because I figured that's what you might think about it.
That's my issue. Because it's too fast.
Because I thought about it, I was like, oh, if I really liked that movie, would I be satisfied with the way they're handling the fallout for this?
And here's the thing, it's not even so much about whether or not I really like that movie, it's just you inherently have a potentially interesting status quo. You gotta do something with it.
Sure.
When you take out like half of the population of the planet, and everybody got like 3.5 billion people got used to the other 3.5 being gone, or whatever the breakdown would be, for 5 years, and then suddenly they all come back. You've got massive unemployment issues. Sure. You've got issues with housing. You'd have political issues. I think the social climate could be fascinating, and I'd like to do something with that.
I was also so maybe I missed this, but so all of the supporting cast of the Spider-Man movies did not age up 5 years, right? Which is very convenient.
It's really convenient. Dude, I was thinking of that in Endgame.
Yeah.
Like, when because I turned to Eric and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be ridiculous when we get to Far From Home.
Yeah.
Because when at the end of Endgame, when Peter and Ned / Gank hug in the hallway, I was like, wait a minute, that whole supporting cast is going to have to conveniently have blipped, and so they have the token ones, right? And then Aunt May blipped too. I wouldn't have done that. I would have had her be around for 5 years and be pining after Peter and feel bad that he was gone.
Yeah,
he could have done something with that.
Give her some kind of character exploration.
So Favreau didn't blip.
Yeah.
And he makes that joke about the blip beard.
Yeah.
And then you have the one kid who was 5 years older. And as far as we can tell, hardly anybody else was actually around that whole time. And I find that irritating. So I really like the actress that plays Betty.
Yeah.
So I don't really want this. But the thing I was speculating about before we knew what they were doing with her was she would be the one token character that would be the coolest to age up. Because in the comics, she's older than Peter.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great.
And I thought it would have been really cool if she's like 21 now.
Yeah.
And she's lived a life for 5 years and she's a journalist or something.
Yeah.
I thought that would be really cool.
That would be awesome, because their relationship in the early comics, like, Peter Parker's still in high school, and she's like a young professional when they start going out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if she'd been around for 5 years, she could be a young professional now.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. They should have done that.
And that's part of why I wasn't in love with the Betty Ned stuff, just because I thought there was real potential for her.
Yeah.
And I know that's a real specific idea, and so I don't mean to say, like, I don't like it because they didn't do what I wanted, but it's kind of right there. I'm surprised nobody thought of it.
And question, too, about that guy that was sort of aged up here.
Yes.
So, was he like a middle schooler before?
He would have been, yeah.
Yeah. And they act like they all knew him.
Yeah, but he's 5 years younger.
That's what I mean.
So he wouldn't have been a middle schooler. He would have been like an elementary school kid, right?
No, because high school's 4 years, middle school's like 3 years, right? So if he was like...
But are they seniors? Like, what grade are they in?
I don't know.
See, I thought they were like 10th or 11th grade. I think they were seniors.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You see what I'm saying?
But he would have been either like... I just find it like strange that they knew a kid that young, that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's even weirder if he's as young as I think because he had to be like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be middle school. It'd be an elementary school.
I think he would probably be a middle schooler because I think that
at 10.
No, I just think that they're further along in their high school careers than what you're thinking. It seemed that way to me.
Peter was supposed to be like 14 or 15 though.
It's not really clear.
It's really not, is it?
Yeah, it's not. At least maybe there's like some throwaway line about it where we missed, but I'm not sure.
Okay, but even if Peter was 16, he'd be like 11.
Yeah, which would be a middle schooler.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought that was like. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I just found it weird that they all like knew him.
No, I'm with you. That is weird.
Yeah, but anyway, that doesn't really matter that much. I just thought it was kind of weird.
And the fact that kid was still around during the blip didn't really factor into his role in it at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't really matter.
Right.
It was just sort of like, let's have some token characters that did that. I just wish we'd done more with that.
Yeah, and I thought...
And the biggest fear I have is that we're never going to do anything with it now. That like we're going to get like we're going to immediately adjust to the status quo, and the one big consequence of Endgame is going to just get blown over really quick. And that immediately lessens my enjoyment of that movie. Like, I like Endgame more than you, partly because of the potential I saw for it.
Sure.
And if we don't do anything with it, then it's not that good of a movie.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm with you. I think we should be dealing with the heavy consequences of that at the very least.
Because it could be really interesting.
It could be, yeah. I'm going to be interested to see how they play with that potentially in the Disney Plus shows, because I feel like that would be a perfect place to explore
That's the place to really deal with it,
yeah.
Particularly in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yes, agreed. That's the one I was thinking that we should be dealing with that stuff.
Especially because, like, who knows where Loki is even taking place, and then WandaVision, I think, is supposed to be a period piece.
Right.
So, like, I don't even know where else you would deal with it.
And you mentioned
Hawkeye, I guess.
And you mentioned the political ramifications of the stuff. I mean, that's like perfect Captain America stuff to be dealing with that. So.
Yeah. Well, and, like, if they draw at all from the political stuff in the Falcon Cap series...
Oh, yeah. I haven't read that.
Because that's a really political book.
Is it really? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Which makes sense. I mean, Captain America's always had, like, a political streak to the stories, so...
Yeah,
I'd really like to see that. That would be cool.
But anyway, any other major stuff you wanted to make sure? I didn't think this would go this long, but it's Spider-Man. You have lots to say about Spider-Man?
I'm trying to think. I think we covered just about everything.
speculate for me how, because I know this is probably a thing that is somewhat foremost on your mind.
Yeah.
Moving forward, how much do you think we're still going to continue having Peter use Stark Tag? Because as much as I'm fine with it, the way we've done it so far, I'd love to find some way to get rid of it completely.
Yeah. I hope at the very least they keep the suit he made because it's awesome.
Yeah.
But
I just don't want him to have too much access to stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be a little bit limited.
But, if he's connected and happy, I just don't see how that happens.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see, what authorities are going to be going after Peter at this point. Because S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of like the big secret, spy organization in the MCU.
I mean, they were.
Yeah.
We don't even really know if there is a S.H.I.E.L.D. now.
Right, so, Fury's not going to go after Spider-Man because, he's privy to the fact that Mysterio, or Talos, Fury, is not going to go after him. So it's
I guess just cops.
Yeah.
I guess just the regular authorities. I don't know.
And it makes me wonder, where he's going to go, too. He's going to stay in New York? It makes me wonder. Because I did like at the end of the movie that we're finally getting Spider-Man swinging on skyscrapers.
Right.
Which was cool. They did a final shot like the Raimi movies used to do. Especially in the first one, which was nice.
But is he gonna put on yet another costume and try to not look like Spider-Man at all?
Maybe.
That kind of thing.
Maybe.
I thought the Night Monkey thing was kind of dumb. First of all, I don't like that suit, and second of all, why would if the whole point is you don't want to look like Spider-Man?
Why do you have the eyes?
Why look like Spider-Man?
Yeah.
It's a Spider-Man suit.
I mean, they obviously did it because it was inspired by the Spider-Man Noir suit. They wanted to get that in a movie at some capacity and make action figures out of it.
I know.
So, I mean, they'll probably put him in another suit in the next movie just because we got to sell more toys.
But just to be smart story-wise,
yeah.
I would pick something. You can still sell toys. I would just pick something that didn't look so much like Spider-Man that everybody would be like, I wonder if that's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because if you're Nick Fury, that's dumb.
That's I forget what the aliases were, but do you remember in the 90s, for a brief period, Spider-Man pretended to be a different character? Do you remember that? It was a purple and yellow costume.
No, I don't remember that.
I don't remember. Or was it purple and yellow?
Okay, don't do that though, because those are bad colors for film. Don't do that.
I'm not sure if it was purple and yellow now I'm thinking about it.
Do Baghead Spider-Man. Do it after we've introduced the Fantastic Four, and then put him in an FF costume and put a bag on his head. That's...
Hey, I'd be totally down with a Future Foundation costume eventually being in these movies. That suit is beautiful.
It's pretty, and I never thought I'd like Spider-Man in white, but it works.
Yeah, it does.
I want to say, and tell me if you think I'm reaching with this.
Okay.
I want to say the Mardi Gras mask is sort of a throwback to Baghead.
You think so?
Sort of,
yeah.
Where it's have Spider-Man in a situation where he can't get to his regular mask and he's got to improvise.
Yeah, I just wish that he we were talking about, he was a little bit smarter about it, and I did like the whole Venetian mask motif thing because I just think they look cool too.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting too that we had Spider-Man on a bell tower again.
That's true.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
And every single Spider-Man movie has to have that scene where he's pulling ropes and trying to hold something together, and then he drops it, and then he does some more, and then he pulls it some more.
Yeah.
I can describe that scene beat for beat, and it's exactly every time we've done that.
And we had another train scene in here too, just like the second Spider-Man movie.
I love when he gets hit by the train.
Yeah, I did too, because you could
It's visceral.
It's
great.
and it shows how vulnerable. Despite the fact that he has superpowers, Peter Parker's a vulnerable character. He gets cut up, gets beat up. I like that a lot.
And I like that. I wish we somehow could have played with it more.
Yeah.
But I like that he gets so paranoid after that, where he's not sure what's real.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish we could have somehow done more with that.
Yeah. And then there's that cool thing where he's trapped in the...
Mysterio just made up the Netherlands. I love the Netherlands stuff. Yeah. I don't know why. I thought, I'm with you, a lot of comedy doesn't play. For some reason, everything with the Netherlands to me was hilarious.
Yeah.
When he goes to that guy and asks for his cell phone, and he's like, yeah, sure, here, but he's like, you're so nice. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, and I didn't know if this was an intentional reference or not, but I was going to mention, I liked that we had Spider-Man like locked in that like drunk tank cell or whatever, the holding cell, whatever it was supposed to be, and he breaks out because it reminded me of there's an old Stan Lee and Romita Senior issue where he's trapped in a prison and the cover is him like on the walls of the prison and like with all the jail cells and stuff. Like I was like, oh, maybe that's what they were looking at when they were doing that scene.
I kind of doubt it, but maybe it's sort of like the Baghead thing where it reminded me of that. But I'm like, that's probably not what they were thinking.
Yeah. But that cover's like really famous, so I was wondering if they were looking at that stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
We are I just thought of this, and this is a thing I haven't said before.
Yeah.
We are 2 Spider-Man movies in.
Yeah.
5 appearances in the MCU. I'm going to keep saying that.
Yeah.
And we have not yet even broached Spider-Man No More. We like to do that as fast as possible and know things. And we haven't even broached I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore.
They kind of did it in this, though.
Sort of, but I don't think he's ever considering never being Spider-Man again.
But he's considering not shouldering the responsibility that Stark puts on him for being a superhero.
That's true,
in the Avengers.
But it's not put the costume away.
Right.
It's not I'm never going to be Spider-Man
I'm
again.
not saying it's the same exact thing, but it deals with some of the same thematic beats that Spider-Man No More does.
It does, but we usually like to really play for drama, like should I be Spider-Man or not? And I don't think he's gotten there yet.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. He hasn't gotten to that specific character thing, but I thought that's what they may have been thinking of when they were doing with the Tony Stark glasses stuff.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Because it deals with many of the same thematic beats and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
So, because it's all about like Peter Parker not wanting to shoulder the responsibility of being a superhero, just like Spider-Man No More is.
But the big thing it doesn't deal with is being Spider-Man causes more problems than it solves. That's the big thing that is not doing.
But that happens in the movie, though. Like, him being Spider-Man ruins, like, his chances with Mary Jane. Him being Spider-Man is the reason why that kid has the picture on his phone, and he has to use the drones to delete it and stuff.
See, I didn't think about that because so much of it is connected to the tech. It's not even really like him putting on a costume and fighting crime so much as just trying to be Iron Man.
And he, like, stops... He doesn't answer Nick Fury because he wants to have a vacation from being a superhero as well.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
But if he saw somebody get mugged in an alley, he'd go deal with it. And usually when we do the Spider-Man No More thing, he goes, I'm not gonna. He gets extreme and goes, I'm not gonna even solve problems that are right in front of me because I'm afraid I'll make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not the same exact thing, but I think they're playing.
I'm also not saying they should have necessarily rushed it so far. I'm just saying I'm surprised we didn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this movie wasn't that as much as it has been in the past because we always go there.
Yeah, I mean. They kind of touch on the Garfield stuff a little bit, but the Spider-Man 2 is the main place where we do that. Yeah, for sure.
But like in every cartoon adaptation, that real early. Like,
because it's one of the most famous Spider-Man stories in the 50s.
And it's early.
Yeah, true.
It also is an early Spider-Man story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But anyway, anything else we want to make sure we hit?
I think I'm good. Yeah, overall, I quite enjoyed it. It was a pretty good movie.
There's another Homecoming, or Far From Home spoiler cast for you guys. Hope you enjoyed hearing Dan talk about that movie.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I like talking with you about it. It was great.
Yeah. You brought us to this place I hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
Which is what I was hoping would happen. So.
Oh, yeah.
gave me a reason for being here. So.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again with more stuff in the not-too-distant future. I was Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.
Bye, folks.
Goodbye.